Flipping houses has become a huge business over the years, right? People all over the place are buying houses, they're fixing them up, and then they're flipping them, they're selling them. But you ask yourself, you're like, man, I would love to get into that. I just don't have the funds. I don't know where to start. I have to go to banks, have to get loans. Then all of a sudden I have to get it done really fast so I don't have to pay interest on those loans or, find private investors. What about flipping your own house? Right? You already own it, right? You've got a mortgage on it, or you've paid it off cash, or however you own it, and you live in it. It's your primary residence. Buy a fixer-upper, make an adventure out of it, and move around your house a little bit while you're fixing it up. And after 2 years, you don't have to pay capital gains on that, at least at the federal level, right? And I know that there are some certain stipulations, like, I think it's like if you make over $250,000 as a single or over $500,000 as a married couple, then you probably have to pay a little bit. But at least in the world I live in, we don't make $500,000 on the sale of a house if you're flipping it in the short term. Maybe in the long term, but in the short term, you don't make that kind of money. But that's still, you can still generate a great income. So if you live in it for 2 years, fix it up, sell it, buy another one, live in it for a couple of years, sell it. You don't have to pay any taxes. Now, someone who actually flips houses for a living, they're not living in that residence, right? So now all of a sudden, they got to pay taxes. They got to pay capital gains on that house. So the income that they're making, they are having to pay a little bit to Uncle Sam. Or if you live in it, it's your primary residence, live in it for at least 2 years, you get to keep that money, right? And you get to roll it over, buy another one, move into it, buy another one, move into it. I think my wife was about ready to wring my neck because we moved right before each of our kids were born. So she never got to get into the nesting side of things. But each of those moves generated a great slush fund, a great bit of equity that we could then roll into our next house. And it doesn't have to be a fixer-upper. We had a new house built, and then I finished the basement on the side on my nights and weekends. And then we sold it after a couple of years. We took the gains, and then we bought a piece of property and built a brand new house. It was great. Lived in a brand new house for a couple of years. It created enough equity in it. We sold it after a couple of years and bought a fixer-upper. And that was an adventure as well. We had little kids. They had separate rooms. Then all of a sudden they were in the same room. We were moving around the house while we were fixing up rooms and kitchens and living rooms and floorings and all the fun stuff. And it was a great adventure. And when it's all done, we have a nice house. We've created a bunch of equity in it. And then we can do it again. And so for anybody looking to get into flipping houses, it's a great way to start. And even if you're not into just flipping houses for a living, if you're willing to move every 2-3 years, at some point you're going to generate enough income that your house is paid off. And you don't have that one big payment. For many people, that's like the biggest investment that a lot of people will ever make. How cool would it be if it was paid off? And all it took was moving around every 2 or 3 years. So keep that in mind when you're out there. If you're thinking about flipping houses or thinking about another way to generate an income, think about flipping your own house. My name is Ben with Building Code Tips. For more information on investments, do-it-yourself projects, building code, go to buildingcodetips.com. Subscribe below if you like the video. Comment. I'd love to see comments because this is all about helping other people out. And so if you're out there and you flipped your own house or you've done something to generate some extra income on the side, well, tell everybody below so that everyone else can gain that knowledge and do it themselves. That's what it's all about.